Hi everyone. As many of you know, I'm a big Deadpool fan, obviously. And I know a lot of you guys have gotten into Wade really recently too, but haven't maybe read all of his books from the early days. A lot of people have asked me to do a Deadpool origin video. I haven't really had time to put something together like that, so I thought I would just do something like this instead. I'm pretty much just going to tell you the origin of Deadpool, as I understand it anyway. It's very convoluted. But yeah, so like as I said, a lot of people haven't been able to read the books from his earliest days. Oddly enough, his first books with him don't actually have his origin. His origin was explained about halfway through his storyline. But yeah, Deadpool was first appeared in New Mutants '98 in 1991. He was created by Rob Liefeld and Fabian Nicizenia. Now, Rob Liefeld wants you to believe the creative process of Deadpool went like this.
New Mutants '98, and so that had to be a big issue, you know. Louise Simonson had left the book, and they were giving me the book to write and draw, and I just felt like I should pack it with as much cool stuff, you know. So I introduced Domino Deadpool and a more of a kind of a cerebral bad guy, Gideon, in the first issue.
Right, another awesome character.
I knew Deadpool. I had the name, and I knew he was going to be an assassin, a product of a rejected Weapon X experiment. Because I said there's 10 Wolverine. I mean, again, this is back in 1989, 1990. Like, Wolverine hadn't fully been explored yet, but you knew it was Weapon X, so there should have been 9 other rejects getting up to Wolverine number 10. So anyway, long story short, so I had the visual. And I'd always told Todd McFarlane I was jealous that he got to draw Spider-Man all the time. Because anybody knows a character with a full mask is fun to draw and cool to draw and easy to draw. Yeah. you have to eyes, mouth, nose. So anyway, I did Deadpool, sent it to Marvel, said he's kind of like the anti-Spider-Man.
Right. Lies! Jeez, Liefeld, you co-created a great character, but don't be a douche and try and take all the credit for it. You don't see that with Stan Lee, do you? And that's why he's a class act and you're not. What really happened was Rob Liefeld came to Fabian Nicizenia with Deadpool's design. And Nicizenia said in response, "He looks like Deathstroke." Then he decided to make him a parody Motormouth. But on to the in-universe origin of Deadpool. Note, Deadpool's origin is very convoluted, and therefore it is possible that a writer could negate something that is in this video in the future, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. There's a lot of openings for interpretation due to Wade's failing memory. But as I see it, his origin is this, and I will back up my claims with sources. Wade Winston Wilson was an American boy. Now, there are a lot of people who say, "Hey, isn't Deadpool Canadian?" It says he's Canadian on the Marvel's website. Yes, it does. It says he has Canadian citizenship and was born in Canada somewhere. But Wade's father was a U.S. military general. This alone makes me think that he is American. And in Cable and Deadpool 19, Deadpool clearly states, "I'm a boy from Ohio." But I'm guessing his parents were spending some time in Canada, possibly on vacation or something, when he was born. But this is just speculation. Deadpool does not know at this point is that the man who is his father is not actually his biological father. Wade's father is actually another man. Whether Deadpool's mother was unfaithful or was raped is not known, but what we do know is another man is Wade's biological father. Wade's mother dies of breast cancer when Wade was at a very young age. His father was abusive, and when Wade was in his teens, his father was killed in a bar altercation with Wade and some of his friends. There is some indication that Wade might have been the one who killed his father, but it is not completely stated that it was him. Wade joined the Army and excelled in Black Ops programs. He, however, was eventually court-martialed and led the States to take a new persona by killing strangers and taking their identities to evade his superiors. He started taking on mercenary work, but whenever his missions failed, he'd steal a new identity. This would eventually take him to Canada, where he met a Professor Wade T. Wilson, and his wife Mercedes. She tried to kill Wade and steal his identity. He probably wanted it so badly because it reminded him of his own true persona, but accidentally killed Mercedes first, breaking his one rule of never harming women. He would then again be Wade Wilson, but this time, instead of Wade W. Wilson, he'd be Wade T. Wilson. He would never again change identities after this, however, in respect to Mercedes. He then went to Japan and joined a Yakuza gang. They had him infiltrate another Yakuza gang as a sumo wrestler. He was commissioned to kill its leader, but fell in love with the leader's daughter and couldn't go through with it. So he fled to America, where he met a prostitute named Vanessa. They fell deeply in love, but Wade would soon leave Vanessa due to him being diagnosed with cancer, and he did not want to burden her with a sickly dependent. Wade would then soon be invited to participate in a very experimental procedure to get rid of his cancer, being funded by the Canadian government. It's important to note that it's very good that he got Wade T. Wilson's identity by this time, or he would not have qualified for this program. Because Wade T. Wilson is Canadian, has Canadian citizenship. Wade W. Wilson does not. He was given a synthetic healing factor made from Wolverine's blood. The procedure didn't work right, however, and it drove Wade crazy. He wound up killing a fellow operative in the field by the name of Slayback. So, he was sent to a hospice where all the rejects went. At this hospice, terrible experiments were done on the failed participants there. It was here Deadpool met the love of his life. Her name is Death. Wade was so close to dying that he could see Death herself, and she was so beautiful because he was suffering so badly in his life. But while at the hospital, he was so filled with rage at the doctors and the security there that his healing factor actually kicked in and started to work. He killed most of the facility's employees and released those in prison there. But with his healing factor working again, he was no longer close to Death and therefore couldn't see her anymore. From that day on, he was known as Deadpool, taking the name from the game the patients would play on betting which person would die next. His brain got so addled at this point, he literally started to believe he was Wade T. Wilson, but would never let anyone refer to him by that name, maybe because he subconsciously knew this wasn't his actual identity. Wade T. Wilson, the real one, would eventually show up later in his life as the mercenary/wizard/band-aid enthusiast named T-Ray. They would fight back and forth on who actually is Wade T. Wilson, but neither of them remembers quite correctly. That's his origin in a really big nutshell. I hope you guys found this informative. Cheers.